Alright, in this video I'm going to be showing the basic equipment needed or you would want for catfishing, maybe at a beginner level. You're going to want to have yourself a medium to heavy action fishing pole. You're going to want to have a reel that has a heavy enough drag to accommodate for catfish, larger fish. You're going to want heavy line. Braided line is what I use, and the reason for that is because it's held up and it holds up well to abrasion. Now, by abrasion I mean rocks, tree limbs, things like that, and just normal wear and tear on your line. But you're also going to have catfish that will take their teeth and shake their head, and they will essentially they have sandpaper for teeth, so they're gonna take and wear this down super quick. But if you have a braided leader as well as a main line, you're not gonna have to worry as much about abrasion as opposed to monofilament. Now let's say you have monofilament instead of braided, it'll work, and it does the job. But say you cast it out, uh, 50 yards and you get an abrasion right in the middle of your line. Now that's going to be your weakest point no matter what type of line you have, but your chances of that breaking braided versus monofilament are, you're high. You have a higher chance of it breaking or more abrasion prone than your braided line. Now you're going to want yourself a good pair of pliers. These are not a good pair of pliers, but they do the job. Starting out with basic tools, that's all you need. You're going to want maybe some longer ones in case the fish takes it down deeper into its throat. And then I would suggest either a fillet knife or a larger sharp pocket knife. And this would be to, cut your braided line, cut your fishing line, and cut bait. This would be to cut bait. That's something that you're going to want for sure. Now you're going to want yourself a good pair of gloves. And the reason for this is when you go sticking your hand down in a catfish's mouth, catfish eat just about whatever dies in the lake, okay? River, whatever it is. Wherever you're fishing, catfish eat dead things. Well, they also eat live things, but their mouths are very dirty and their teeth are like sandpaper. So I would recommend a very, good pair of gloves. I would not use leather, obvious reasons, you're in the water, but you can use these and that'll save your hands and also help you hold the fish better. Okay, now let's go on to hooks. You're going to want hooks with a heavy enough aught to handle a larger fish. You're not always going to have a 10-15 pound fish on your line, but when you do, you're going to want that hook to be as strong as possible so that it doesn't open up and you lose your fish. So, going with something like this versus this, this might not be your best option, but it'll work if that's all you have. Now let's go to swivels. You want heavy swivels. I can't stress that enough, because if you go getting yourself something like this, which these are not that much more expensive, if you go getting something like this, it's going to either open up on you, break, and you're going to lose fish. Don't risk losing a big catfish over getting the wrong swivels. And you're going to want yourself an assortment of weights. You can go 2, 1, and this is 4 ounces. You would want to use a 4-ounce weight, if you're fishing, let's say, a river, where you have high current and, maybe you're using a larger bait. You're going to want something that's going to anchor down and not just go downstream with your bait. And you're going to want a bobber, and this would be for, going in a little bit shallower water, or maybe next to the bank if there's, places where you got catfish, maybe down in a hole. This would be a very good thing to have instead of going with your normal Carolina rig, which your Carolina rig is basically a weight, swivel, leader, and hook. Now, this is what I use 9 times out of 10, because 9 times out of 10 I'm fishing out of a boat. But you want to have all these handy in case, say that you want to go to a river mouth, and you want to try catching catfish at a river mouth. Well, that river mouth's going to have high current, and that high current is going to take your bait downstream, so you're going to want an assortment of tackle to accommodate for different situations. Now, there's tons more equipment and tons more tackle. You could have, let's see, a whole tackle box full, but this is basically what you're going to want to get, and let's go back to hooks here. So you got your circle hooks and you got your standard J hooks. Now, there's a purpose for both of them. They both will work, for whatever you're doing. But if you take these and you take these, they're both going to catch catfish. But these, you don't set the hook. These, you set the hook. There's different types of hooks, different types of situations. That'll be in a later video of what you would want to, pick out and what works best for you. What do you like better? It's more of a preference thing than anything, And these more often or not are easier to get unhooked than these. The catfish might take this down deeper into its mouth or potentially throat, whereas these, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a hookup and it's going to be right in the corner of the mouth, or at basically the front of his face is going to have the hook in it instead of down deep. Now, let's go to baits. You can, starting out, if you don't know anything about catfishing, or if you want to learn how to catfish, you can use worms, you can use shrimp, you can even go to the store and buy fillets of fish and try using that. Catfish will eat just about whatever stinks. But what I like to use is, I like to catch bait fish from the lake and cut them into chunks and use them on a circle hook. Now, that might not be ideal for you. That's just what I like to do. Let's go into, you might want to purchase a net. I don't have a net on hand right now to show you guys. It's in my boat. What you're going to want, basically the essentials that are going to get you started is what you see here. And you might pick up a stringer, you might pick up different tools that work best for you, or anything you can think of.